Tyler?
That is right, CJ. And, me and Eric talked about it throughout the week. Odd because these teams, Eric, these kids play each other in every other sport just about, girls, boys, all the way up, as you were telling me earlier. So it's kind of one of those deals where rivalry renewed, but the kids are familiar with one another.
Yeah, like you say, it goes back to even like competitive basketball and things like that. There's Woodward teams that come up here and play in the Alva Rec Center. Alva teams go down there and play kids. So even as far back as like 4th, 5th, 6th grade, they're playing each other. So I think it's awesome that they're going to actually get to go down here on Friday Night Lights and kind of bang around a little bit. There's connections on both sides to each team, and so I think it's just going to be a fun night.
And it's a 2-year deal, so that means Woodward will get to host them next year. So that would be really exciting, CJ.
Tyler, what do the Boomers want to do offensively and defensively to pull the win, pick up win number 1 here in 2024?
Well, on the offensive side, there's a couple changes tonight. New quarterback for the Boomers, the senior Ryan Douglas Fisher, will take over at the helm there. They're making that swap to try to get the offense moving a little bit more consistently in the passing game. Running back-wise, the senior Cooper Littall is going to move from receiver to that running back 1 spot. They'll bump Parkhurst out, Luke Parkhurst, and kind of some other roles. So for the offense, they want to see some consistency, right? There's been a couple plays here and there. They had the big 53-yard touchdown pass last week. That was about it. So, and defensively, I don't think there's many complaints there. Healthy is kind of the big key, and they've got a lot of guys back. Levi Harris this week, Caleb Hutton, who are big linebackers for him. And really the big key is, can the offense string together some consistent drives to give the defense the rest they need to compete? Because when this defense is full of energy, they've been really good. They forced 3 turnovers last week against Dodge City. Dodge City able to kind of pull away off the back of some depth in that second half, but this is a very physical Alva team that they're going to play, so you want to be able to get your defensive guys at least some rest.
Part of our Z92 Boomer T crew, Ranger Field tonight. Ely, he'll be roaming the sidelines. Ely, good evening to you. As a student at Northwestern, that'd be fun, isn't it, to call a game there at Northwestern Ranger Field?
Yeah, I think the best thing was being able to wait for them to get to me, not having to travel all the way to them, But yeah, I know this field. I know the kids on this field tonight.
I look forward to Tyler, Eric, the real speaker of the Hickman household, Janet, Dr. Hickman.
And I remember what now.
Plans with symmetrical speeds for lightning fast and downloads. Get your family school ready with Go Pioneer Fiber Internet. Sign up today at gopioneer.com.
Discipline, attitude, toughness.
Of the Woodward Boomers. Woodward Boomer football is brought to you by Pioneer Broadband, High Flex Tire, Bank of Western Oklahoma, State Farm Agent Wayne Matthews, Compass Athletics, Western Drug, Great Plains Bank, R5 Custom Embroidery, M&D Enterprises and the Lawnmower Shop, The Bearded Barber, Sealing State Bank, and Smith & Company Auction and Realty. Here with the call tonight's game is Tyler Riggs and Eric Scott.
Hello, welcome, and thank you, everybody, for joining us on another Football Friday night. Live from Ranger Field in Alva, the Boomers have made the trip up for their last non-district contest of the season. They'll have a bye week next week and be able to open up district play at Boomer Stadium against Elgin, new to District 4A1. So that'll be an interesting challenge when we get there. But Eric, we touched on a little bit on the K101 side with CJ, but interesting history between these two towns. Rivals, you know, just give or touch about an hour or so apart. And these kids have played each other from essentially grade school all the way up, whether it be, you know, basketball, football, girls, softball, you name it, baseball, that type of thing. That is a wild stat, but that's the truth and kind of odd to think about. But here we are in a
definitely incredibly excited about it, for one, just because of my connections to Alva, you know, but I think with one thing I tell people all over the state when they complain about driving, it's like, try living in Woodward or Guyman, where you've got to drive 2-3 hours just to play a game. Only driving an hour to get up here, you know, that's nice, you know, and because it's only an hour, well, we've already got a good crowd showing up for Woodward. We got some pep club because of anonymous donor. There was the pep club's up here. We got the band, cheer, dance. Everybody's here, so it's going to be a fun night.
The Woodward band's actually performing at halftime in this game, along with the Alva band, of course, because Daisy Crock and her crew got their first marching competition before we get to that Elgin game. So they wanted to get some practice in tonight, so that would be good to see. And we mentioned the history between these two schools, so played pretty consistently from the 40s on through 1981. You look at the series record, Woodward a pretty dominant lead, 27 wins to just 9 losses against Alva and 2 ties. They tied in 47 and 74. That's at least according to tiesatthegame.com. So that's kind of odd. You know, you don't think about ties in high school, but it did happen back in the day. And just it should be an interesting type matchup. Obviously, Woodward always been a little bit bigger than the class size. That's probably why things kind of dissipated on that side of it. You student at Northwestern, so you get to kind of be out here and on a familiar field.
So that can really make for a fun game to watch, you know, some friendly competition, but also some pride in it.
Now takes over after Dave Foster had stepped down, and Coach Wilson, Coach Gordon obviously coached at Northwestern sidelines for Coach Gordon. It's his first time back at Ranger Field as quote-unquote the enemy, if you will. So, I mean, what goes through your mind in that sense?
Well, you know, you got the head coaches have that connection, but, you know, all of the Woodward staff play football up here under Coach Gordon. So they know most of the Alva staff, because most of the Alva staff have been around for a few years, you know, with Coach Wilson and Coach Foster before he left. So, you know, it's a little bit of a friendly competition across the board. They're all trying to figure to know Coach Wilson when I was here living in Alva, and Derek Thomas, who's from
it does, and it'll be interesting to see how that plays out through the night. Obviously, some extra emotion will be carried. So, well, with that, we'll step aside for our first break of the pregame show, and to the other side, we'll hear himself, Ryan Wilson of the Alva Goldbugs, catch up on his season, and that
he has a story filled with chapters.
Ooh! Me. Anyone else? Fine. Jake from State Farm. Again.
All right. It's the personal price plan theorem. Just for you. Bundling. Just another way to save with the personal price plan.
Really understands our area. Bank of Western Oklahoma. Choose Bank of Western Oklahoma, the bank that works as hard as you do. Member FDIC.
Michelin invents the tire that stays safe even worn with unique Evergrip technology.
Anytime soon, so they're a well-oiled machine. Coach Fernandez is doing great. That was a great test for guys to show, you know, we made a good run last year. That's it was a tough one. Our message to the guys every day is try to go 1-0 today. Try to go 1-0, 1-0. So that's been our message, especially last week after losing it. And got down 12-0 real quick. They drove the field on a couple third and fourth down long conversions that led to their first touchdown. We come in, we make a couple mistakes, and we throw them the ball. They intercept it, turn around, and next thing you know, we're down 12-0. But our guys never really faltered. They never freaked out. The pressure never came on. So we get down to a 3rd and 10, and Cass Shipley right now has the play of our year. Had a 54-yard reception over a kid that kind of jump-started our offense, because then after that we go down. Lance Mathers makes a touchdown. We're in at 12-7 now. After that, defense gets a great stop, and then we go on a 7-minute, 59-second drive that kind of deflated Perry. We go down, we end up scoring. We go up 14-12, go into halftime, and come out in the second half and go on another 6.5-minute drive. So the way our offense is built, it's to slow people down, but to also keep their other team's offenses off. We didn't ever do that against Fairview, and it showed. But when we execute and do the little things right, it tends to take care of itself. So with the way our offense played, it slowed everything down. Perry had to call some timeouts to get back into it. They scored a late touchdown and get a 2-point conversion, which puts them at 21-20. They onside kick it, and Cass Shipley shows up big again, gets the onside kick there, and we get to essentially just run the clock out. We didn't even have to call our play on 4th down because the clock was winding and we were good to go. Hunter Flater had a great game defensively. I think he had 1 interception, 1 fumble recovery. He had 2 touchdowns on offense. So Hunter Flater was our overall on the field Friday night. So it was great to see him get involved. It was great to see Lance Mathers get involved, Cass Shipley, all those guys. And, we wouldn't be where we are without our quarterback, Campbell Gasser.
When you mentioned that quartet of guys, Coach, what does it say about them knowing, hey, you're coming off a touchdown? Again, like you said, very, very accurately. I don't know if anybody's slowing them down anytime soon. And then you get into a good battle with really well and Perry, and your guys just seemingly operate business as usual, able to probably take care of business. I mean, what does that say about and showing the rest of your time? You mentioned the 1-0 mentality. Talk about their fortitude, able to kind of lead that.
These guys have bought into everything we're doing. This is a good year. I've been around Alva for a long time, and we haven't had very many senior classes like this. And every time you speak to those guys, every time they're going to mention something about how they do it for their boys, how they do it for the other seniors. So it has absolutely nothing to do with what Ryan Wilson is doing. It has everything to do with what these seniors do. And we're going to go as far as those guys take it, because it really is their team. They do a great job of leading themselves, leading the people around them. All over the place. So, it makes my job really, I don't want to say easy, but it makes the job easier when you have a group of guys like that care about each other, that care about the program, that care about everything Alva. So that's been awesome. Because of that, they understand the task at hand, understand the importance of the 1-0 mentality, and they're starting to buy into that idea. You start to talk to them, and they're starting to use some key phrases like going 1-0, not week in and week out, but they're doing that by every play, every quarter, every snap. They're ready to go 1-0. So those, I mentioned the 4 with Campbell, Cash, Lance. It's because each one understands their role. They know their roles, and they're
comment from Coach Gordon.
I appreciate that, and Lance appreciates that. The great thing in our area that Lance Mathers, day in and day out, that guy is bringing energy. I appreciate that, but again, this is all about what it's going to take to get our team to the next level. So it's great to hear that, and Lance is going to love to hear that, but Lance also knows at the end of the day, he's got so the Goldbugs can get better.
And your guys' relationship, you and Coach Gordon, you told me this week you got announced as taking over that job. So talk about your guys' relationship. This is a rivalry between these schools. Woodward now one on the football side, probably partly due with the class factor, but Coach Gordon said
he moved, and when he got the Woodward job, he was excited this week. So that's kind of an interesting take on things. He's probably got a real interesting view on scrimmages all the time up until the last couple of years. So we're familiar with the sit here, and we're 70 miles apart, I think, and they have about 500 more kids than we play them in literally every sport except football. And when their class is bigger than we are, the opportunity doesn't come around very often.
The season as we roll along on the Boomer pregame show on Z92 and Boomer TV. Between the coaches, and just to know that he's kind of taking over this program, both guys excited for each other. You always love him
too. Coach Wilson. As Coach Wilson said, Coach Wilson's younger than me, and I don't even consider myself very old. So, but yeah, I remember Coach Wilson's wife when she played. I think it's awesome that they have that, and even when they're not on the field, they'll be able to bounce some things off each other. They have already built that friendship.
Absolutely. Well, let's go ahead and jump into our starting lineups for tonight, presented by Wayne Matthews, State Farm Agent. You can talk with State Farm Agent Wayne Matthews about creating a personal price plan and protect yourself and your loved ones. 1400 9th Street in Woodward, actually. The national anthem performed by the Alva Goldbug Band. And back to those starting lineups as we're into Wayne Matthews starting lineups. Ryan Douglas Fisher taking back over at quarterback, the senior. They're going to swap that out this week. Cooper Boring. Luke Parkhurst probably a receiver, as well as Jake Graff. Parkhurst will still be running back too. Casey Bourne over at tight end, maybe a little bit of fullback. We see that formation. Along the line, Trey Ilias Rode left tackle, Seth Roberts along the offense there. And for the defensive side, as well as Bone Ford, defensive line, Marco, as well as Adrian Garcia. Ford still named in the middle at linebacker. In the defensive backfield, the secondary, if you will, Jake Graff going to be able to play at quarterback spot. Probably see a lot of Dominique Gordon as might swing over Cooper Latal over should Colin Bourne not play. Look, going through pregame here, might be likely to play. So if so, he's at the safety spot, and they got Mason Bourne at free safety and Colt Moore at that nickel if we need it. So the big change, as we mentioned, the quarterback running back swap, maybe trying to get a little bit more speed at that position. And Ryan's a senior. They're trying to see what works before district, if you will, and jumping into that contest.
I think that's part of it. Is the offensive line has really struggled the first 2 weeks, and there's been almost Cash, when he's been in there, he's been having to at least get to make something happen. And when you throw Ryan in there, we saw it on the fake punt. He has the ability to see the field a little bit, to to push football game, you know, and so hopefully just having a couple, having those guys who got a little bit of speed, a little bit of good field vision, you know, you're not going to see a lot of throwing balls, I don't think, tonight. I think we're going to see a lot of
as a player, you know, this is your player experience factored in. You've been in moments where, you know, you might know the guy lining up.
You obviously have respect for that kid, but you also realize that you guys are fighting for a win. And obviously right now there's no district play. I think they should be friends.
There you go. So some competitive coming out. If some of those keys of the game for this, what do you think the Boomers got to do to be successful tonight to be
defense? The defense have got to do their job to keep the Goldbugs out of the end zone. I was talking to somebody earlier.
Stop Lance Mathers, premier linebacker, fullback form. Cash Shipley, the Boomers are really well. Obviously went to Woodward first. Cash is a great punter, really good leg, so he can flip the field on you. You got to be ready for that if you're the Boomers. You heard Coach Wilson talk about Hunter put them out a little bit. When they do pass a few times, they get them in space, and so this Alva team.
I watched a little bit of their Fairview game a couple weeks ago, and you know, I think I said it on last week's broadcast.
Leader that, you know, you're kind of mentioned to me, like this offense compared to Dodge City, for example, it ran a little bit of the option look. This is a lot more after last year maybe didn't get the full complement of minutes. So both teams about to be out of the locker rooms here. They've got everybody lined up on the sidelines, both sides. The Boomers, as you mentioned, brought a good pep. We brought the cheerleaders, of course. So it should be a lively atmosphere. Got a good, solid Boomer crowd on the other side. It's filling up on the Alva side. And Great Plains Bank, Heritage Trust, Respect, those are the fans that make Great Plains Bank great. With deep roots across Oklahoma and Texas, they are in touch with the communities in which their customers live and work. We thank Great Plains for powering Boomer sports all season long. So Ely, we heard some keys from Eric there. In your mind, after seeing this in the first couple of weeks, what do the Boomers got to do tonight to maybe sustain some of that all?
The guys on the line, offensively and defensively, you know, try to improve most this week.
And Eric, to leap off Ely's point there, we've even seen the ends. Bill Moore, Trip Bates really be fantastic. Last week, Dodge City, with their kind of strength and depth, exposed maybe a little bit up the gut there. You give them some rest, you give them some time to breathe for a second. They've been pretty nasty.
Well, that's what I was, you know, talking to somebody this week, and we were talking about a little bit about how there was that quick hitter with the full. And I think a lot of that was an adjustment Dodge City made because we were doing such a good job of, you know, getting a jump on the line. You know, we had guys that were reading the snap count really well, you know, as soon as the snap will take off, you know. And so, you know, when you're taking on an offense, the flex zone offense like Alva has, you're playing assignment football. You've got to stick with your assignment. And
it's simple football when it boils down, but boy, it's hard to do it on the field. Yeah. So we've seen on the road twice now. Of course, your captain's not going to be Casey Warren. Cooper Tall, I think, basically could be really good if done right.
I will say, because I've watched a lot of high school games here. I've watched a lot of Ranger games, obviously.
As we are getting ready for the coin toss, both teams walking towards we had senior night this week for the softball team. They got to win over Guyman 12-2 today. Shut down the Clinton team, if you will, and then cross country. They come off the bye week and go to Bethany this weekend on Saturday. Looks like the Boomers will kick off to start the game. So that means the Goldbug offense will be on
tone. And, you know, looking back on the two games, you know, we will get the pop on guys. You know, we are able to get into the backfield and get a pop and physical play.
And tonight, than we had last week. It was about the mid-90s as far as high temperatures today, but still then the stand as well as the fans and the air horn. And the Boomers on the far side from us in the press box coming out their side. And again, a good crowd traveled up
over to other sports.
Right.
You know, because I've seen some basketball games where it's been very basketball guys on the football field right now. You know, is that going to add a little bit of dimension to that basketball?
Kick to start this game, and for Alva, they'll be back deep. Looks like kind of go the canopy, if you will, of returns to the trio. They'll go Gaspard on the left side. They'll go Slater in the middle. And on the right side, it'll be Trip Cole, the sophomore. They're each camped up about the 10-yard line on the inside and outside of the hashes for the Goldbugs. And for the Boomers kicking off will be Ryan Douglas Fisher. So the QB, of course, will continue his punting and kicking duties as well. They mentioned the heat, not too bad as it settles in. The wind, kind of a little off and on, probably about 10 miles an hour tonight, so shouldn't be too big of an issue. The way the stadium sits.
And the one good thing about Ranger Field, because it does set down in a bowl, is, you know, like sun, as the sun starts to set, it's already, half the field's already covered in shadow, you know, and it's not going to take long, and the rest of the field's going to be under shadow, and it'll start cooling off a little bit down there.
The kickoff unit on the field, getting set up. Douglas Fisher, as mentioned, has marked off his steps. The officials taking one final look at everything. There's the whistle. Douglas Fisher takes his jog, and we are underway at Ranger Field with an end-over-end kick by Douglas Fisher. Be returnable, picked up by Cole, just about the 15-yard line. Makes a little move at the 23, trying to string it out, tackled just about the 25 and drugged down. And who else? The running back, the senior, Cooper Latal, making a great play on special teams.
That was, you know, that was a great play. It's hard to explain, but, you know, I think if Cooper wasn't able to make that tackle, that's easily another 20, 30 yards downfield.
So the Goldbugs come out on offense first, led by Campbell Gaspard. We'll see that option attack as they begin the drive at their own 25. With 52 to go in the first quarter, just underway at Ranger Field. And that flex bone look. Of course, under center, Mathers, the fullback. You'll have a couple wings as well to deal with. Flavor being one of those. As well as White Tucker, the big man. Under center goes Gaspard. Puts a man in motion as Flater takes the inside handoff to Mathers. Mathers breaks one tackle, trying to drag the pile forward. Gets to about the 28 before they blow the whistle dead. And it's going to take that gain tackling, Eric, to try to slow down Lance Mathers tonight.
Yeah, it really is. Trip Bates was read it pretty good, was able to kind of get the initial trip up of Mathers, you know, and allow the rest of the Boomers to come in there. But he, you know, Mathers is such a, he's shorter, but he's strong, he's stocky and he's strong. And he was able to push the line another 2 yards.
So they give him to the 29. They'll call it a gain of 4 on first down, 2nd and 6. 11:15 remaining in the first quarter. Gaspard under center. Canopy behind him is motion play again. This time they fake the handoff. Gaspard with some space on the far side. Able pushed out of bounds in Boomer territory. Mason Bourne ultimately the one to push him out, but Campbell Gaspard on the keeper on the option.
How important it is to play your assignment and, you know, really not overdo it. They thought that fake went to Mathers, and they were doing everything they could to bring Mathers down, but allowed Gaspard to keep it and go around the corner.
So the senior quarterback galvans for 32 yards, sitting Alva up with a 1st and 10 at the Boomer 39. 10:55 remains in the first quarter. Alva again under center with Gaspard. Mathers behind him, couple wings, 2 receivers to the left side of the formation. On 1st and 10, Gaspard. This time they hand it off again to Mathers, pushing the pop.
Yeah, Noah Borden. I hate seeing these linebackers getting their names called, because if the linebackers are getting their names called, that means he's been able to. Boomer's got to do a better job on the line not to allow him to do that.
So 2nd and 6, Gaspard under center again, 2 receivers to the right side. And Mathers behind him. A wing is Flater. They do.
Yeah,
Shipley was wide open. They had floated the pass just over the head of a couple Boomer defenders. Shipley would have had a ton of room to run.
Yeah, that's where the issue lies.
And they did say incomplete though. Looks at the Boomer Tucker favor here. Gaspard under center on 4th and 5. Got a the Boomers may have jumped off sides. Talk about that hard count, you know, and it's tough, Eric, because you've got an offense 1st down on. Oh, they still say 4th and short. Wow. Okay, so give them 5, but not quite enough. That being said, and now a timeout taken, I believe, by Coach Wilson.